There's a specific thing people do when they don't value you. It's not obvious, it's not dramatic. They won't yell at you, they won't insult you, they'll do something much worse. Something so subtle that you'll blame yourself for noticing it. And once I show you what it is, you're going to recognize it in at least one person in your life right now. When someone values you, you can feel it. Not because they say it, because of what they do without being asked. They remember what you told them. They check in, they make space for you. It's effortless. Not because it doesn't take effort, but because you're worth the effort to them. When someone doesn't value you, it's the opposite. And the cruelest part is that it often looks like nothing. It looks like forgetting, like being busy. Like, sorry, I just didn't see your message. And you end up making excuses for them because the alternative is admitting that you matter less to them than you thought. That alternative is what we're going to talk about today. Here's the behavior, and I want you to really listen because it's going to sound simple, but the implications aren't. A person who doesn't value you will consistently make you feel like an option, not a priority, not through one big betrayal. Through a pattern of small ones, they'll cancel plans with you but keep plans with others. They'll respond to everyone else's messages quickly but take hours or days to respond to yours. They'll be fully present and engaged with other people in the room and then give you half attention when it's your turn to talk. And here's the part that will hurt. If you bring it up, they won't deny it. They'll minimize it. You're reading too much into it. I've just been busy. That's just how I am. That minimization is the tell. Because a person who values you, when told they hurt you, doesn't explain why you shouldn't feel hurt. They ask how to make it right. The difference between those two responses is the difference between someone who sees you and someone who sees through you. Quick note. If this is hitting close to home, there's a book called Attached by Amir Levine that explains the science behind why we stay in relationships where we're not valued. It's not about weakness, it's about attachment patterns wired into us from childhood. If you want to understand why you keep accepting less than you deserve, that book will show you. Link in the description. So if the pattern is so clear, why do we stay? Because the person who doesn't value you isn't cold all the time. That's what makes it so confusing. They give you just enough, a good day here, a thoughtful gesture there, a moment where they're fully present and you think, see, they do care. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement. It's the same mechanism behind slot machines. You don't win every time, but you win just often enough to keep pulling the lever. And in relationships, intermittent reinforcement is devastating. Because the inconsistency doesn't push you away, it pulls you closer. You start working harder, trying more, adjusting yourself to earn the version of them that showed up that one good day. But here's what you need to hear. You are not supposed to earn someone's consistent attention. If it has to be earned, it was never freely given. And attention that isn't freely given isn't love. It's leverage. So how do you know for sure? 3 tests, not theories, things you can observe today. Test 1, the phone test. Look at how they treat their phone when they're with you versus when they're with other people. If they're glued to it around you but put it away for others, that's not a phone habit. That's a priority ranking and you're seeing yours. Test 2, the effort asymmetry. Think about the last 10 times plans were made between you. Who initiated? If you stop reaching out, does the relationship go silent? If the answer is yes, you weren't in a relationship. You were maintaining one, alone. Test 3. And this is the hardest, the repair test. The last time something went wrong between you, who moved first to fix it? A person who values you will reach towards you after conflict. A person who doesn't will wait for you to come to them because they know you will. You always do. If all 3 of those went one direction, you have your answer, and it's not the answer you want, but it's the one you need. Here's what I want you to take from this. Recognizing that someone doesn't value you is not the same as saying they're a bad person. People don't always devalue you on purpose. Sometimes they're limited, sometimes they're dealing with their own damage. Sometimes they genuinely don't see it. But their reason doesn't change your reality. You are still the one sitting in the gap between what you give and what you get back. And that gap, over time, will hollow you out. The most important relationship skill isn't knowing how to love someone. It's knowing when your love isn't being met with equal weight, and being honest enough to act on that. If you watched this and thought of someone specific, trust that instinct. Your gut knew before your brain caught up. You don't have to blow up the relationship tonight. You don't have to have a dramatic confrontation, but you do have to stop pretending the pattern isn't there. Name it, to yourself at least. That's where every change starts. If this helped you see something you've been avoiding, subscribe. I make videos about the psychology of relationships that most people are afraid to talk about. And there's another video on screen right now that goes deeper into why we accept less than we deserve. You're worth more than half attention. Start acting like it.